Hey guys, and welcome back to a little what if scenario, where we basically ask ourselves how our favorite books, shows and movies and games would have changed if one or two things would have been a tiny bit different. This format isn't really here to give a definitive answer, but to give you one or two of my personal scenarios. Feel free to agree or disagree and let me know what yours would look like. So, we all know and love Stardew Valley. You are stressed out by your former job when you remember that your dying grandpa left you an old abandoned farm in the Stardew Valley. You come there, meet the townsfolk, and bring the old town to its old glory by becoming a multimillionaire. By completing the community center bundles. Once you completed them all, Pelican Town will flourish and all is good in the world. Or you go the more evil path and just join Joja, a big corporation which you basically escaped in the intro, and win the game by throwing money at your problem. More realistic, but I play games and watch shows to escape the depression, not to fuel it. Why did I watch Evangelion again? Well, now that we know a little bit of Stardew Valley lore, let's ask ourselves what would happen if the player never moved there. The game lets you know on several occasions that Pelican Town is pretty much not doing as great as it could. When you meet Lewis at the ruins of the community center, he sobs about how sad the state of it has become. Also, let's not forget about the huge farm of yours, which is more or less in ruins as well. The bus line isn't working anymore, which I can imagine is the last lifetime for the town. And several bridges are in ruins, other places are not accessible anymore. So, Pelican Town is basically surrounded by ruins. People want to move away from there, as we get to know from Haley for example. And people like Shane are just depressed working their day-to-day life in the local Joja mart. Local businesses like Pierre have a hard time competing with their prices, something which we get to know pretty early on through a cutscene. Well Pierre, how about not being a liar about your products? But that is another story. So, what would change? In my opinion, honestly not very much for a long time. Don't forget, the valley and Pelican Town as a whole has been in a decline for I suppose a good amount of years already. What brings in the most change is the player. So, with the lack of the player, not many things will change so quickly. Over time, I'm sure that the population of Pelican Town will rather decline instead of increase. Sure, Kent will come back in the second year no matter if the player is there or not, but I'm pretty sure at some point people will just move away. Joja will stay in town, and even though we can help them expand on the evil path, without the player investing heavy amounts of money, I cannot see they will expand on their own either. So let's not forget, even if the story takes place there, Pelican Town is not a big place. There's no need to expand Joja here, and the biggest competitor is Pierre, so it's easy game for Morris. So when it comes to Joja, yeah, they will stay, maybe at some point even buy the old community center and turn it into a warehouse, but any expansion after that, I doubt it. They won't repair the bus line on their own, won't remove the boulder from the river, and they also won't repair the bridge to the quarry. For a good amount of time, the town will just stay as it is, and people adapt to it. The older population will look at the state in sorrow, but no one finds himself to have the power to change any of that. And while it may sound sad, the life will just continue. Lewis will work on his golden taxpayer finance statue, the annual festivals like the luau and the fair will happen nevertheless, keeping the town and the town spirit alive. At some point in time though, I can imagine that Pierre won't really be in the position anymore to keep his store. It is hard enough as it is, even without Joja, to make a business out of like 30 people in maximum. So yeah, Pierre will have to close down. And with it comes some severe consequences. With him out of business, what happens to him and his family? They either stay and try to get jobs at Joja, or they move to Zuzi City maybe. And honestly, that's what I think is more likely. With him and his family gone to seek a better future in the big city, suddenly there's Caroline and Abigail gone as well. And Pelican Town suddenly becomes a lot more of a lonely place. As I mentioned earlier, without a proper perspective, I can see the sisters Haley and Emily also part ways, with Haley moving out of town, while I can see Emily staying working for Gus. She doesn't seem unhappy, so I think she will stay in Pelican Town. Shane will continue working for Joja, he keeps drinking and being depressed. And well, I don't want things to get too dark here, but I don't see a happy future for him, with more and more people moving away and the town becoming more and more deserted. He starts to stay early, moves along Pierre's closed store, gets a glimpse of the ruins of the town, and one question is always there at the back of his head. Is this what life is about? Building up a place so that people only move away and the rest gets overtaken by greedy companies? He sighs as he puts on his Joja uniform and starts yet another workday. And there will be a lot of them. Because of lack of options, I can also see people like Alex working for Joja now, along with Sam and Shane. Maybe they even become closer friends, as these days there's not a lot of options who's your friend and who isn't. As for small businesses like Robin's, Marnie's or Clint's, I don't see them becoming bankrupt. It's a miracle that they are even open as a business anyways, and Joja Mart isn't competing with them either. I cannot say the same for the museum though, unfortunately, as without the players' help, this place gets even more abandoned. I can see Gunther just giving up the whole idea and just move away. I mean, it's not like he's very popular with the town anyways. Poor guy. Without the museum, there's yet another problem. Where do the kids now get their education? We all know that Penny is voluntarily teaching Jazz and Vincent. But with the museum now gone, I think that she will try to do her best. But once the kids grow up more and more, she finds herself in a difficult position. It's one thing to teach small kids, but another one to educate teenagers without proper books. So, after the museum is gone and the kids are in a state where she literally don't have the right tools to teach them anymore, she decides to get a new job. Also because her mom Pam otherwise really can't afford to feed her through as well. So, where would Penny work now? What's your opinion on that? Personally, because of the lack of options, I can see 3 possible scenarios. The first is that she also gets more or less a depressing job at Joja's. But since that place gets a little bit crowded now, and remember, this is also only a small town, there's no need to employ 6, 7 or more people. Chances are that she won't even find a job there. Maybe she will simply move away, sending some of her paycheck money every month to her mom so she can survive somehow as well. The bus line keeps being broken, and we all know why there's no tax money left in this town anymore. Another option, which I would personally like to see, is her maybe becoming an assistant to Robin. I mean, Harvey at his clinic has an assistant, so why shouldn't Robin have one? That way Penny stays in Pelican Town, and who knows, maybe someday Penny can build her mom a house on her own, instead of the trailer. Or a scenario which I would like even more, since the player don't want to have the farm, maybe Penny and her mom will live there. She will undergo a transition from being a shy and silent bird to a self-made woman, building up the old farm and helping out repairing things around the town with Robin. Who knows, maybe she even runs for the mayor's job in the future, trying to make the town a better place. In the end, not all will be bad in my scenario. Not much will change for Linus, as he's one with nature, and all he sees is the town becoming more and more deserted. Harvey will also stay as the town's doctor with Maru as his assistant. Demetrius will try to continue being a scientist and arguing with Robin about the whole is a fruit a tomato debacle. Willie will stay, Gus will stay, and of course the wizard won't move as well. Lewis will also stay in charge as the mayor for a little longer. The boat to Ginger Island won't be repaired, and so Leo will grow up pretty much lonely on the island. And well, other than that, not much will change for Pelican Town. So, all in all, what is the big picture here? The community center stays in ruins, only to be replaced by a Joja warehouse. Pierre will close and move away with his family. Penny will work for Robin and transform the old farm of yours into a house for her and her mom. Shane, Alex and Sam will work all 3 for Joja. Haley will also move away, and Emily, Gus, Clint, Lewis, Robin's family, Jodie's family, Harvey, Marnie and her family, the wizard, Linus and Willie, well, they will just stay and live their normal life. So, while not being the most exciting scenario, I kinda think this is what would happen if the player won't move there. So, what's your take on this? Do you like the idea? What's your take on the whole story? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, until the next time. See ya!